All right, how is everybody doing today? And welcome to my channel. This is an educational channel, and we take a look at great theories of everything, ancient and modern, mainly obscure, things that a group of people, spent at least one generation working on, and in my opinion, they did really well, and but they haven't quite got the notice, so that most other people will benefit their own lives from these things. And today is our 102nd day that we've done on the book called Mastering the Core Teachings of the Buddha by Dr. Daniel Ingram. And I believe we're going to try to finish this book today. So it's about really just what it says, the core teachings of Buddhism, particularly two of the three trainings, but also the third. The first is morality, then concentration, and then wisdom. Concentration and wisdom are governed by meditation. Concentration meditation is meditation on an object, and insight meditation is opening up your five senses and your mental impressions and investigating them for the three characteristics of impermanence and dissatisfactoriness and no self. And as we do these things, we cycle around the cycles of insight, the stages of insight. With concentration, it's the states, jhanas and nanas, they're called. And Ingram does everything he can to make it easy for you to accomplish this very difficult endeavor. And so we're finishing up just a few tidbits of things that he wanted to get into before he finishes. So give him a listen right here. Similarly, the maps of the territory of awakening, specifically the paths and bhumis, involve terms to which various texts, traditions, and practitioners and teachers attribute wildly different criteria and ideals. If you're going to use these terms to describe some aspect of your practice, it is probably a good idea to clearly define what criteria you are using. I go way out of my way to define as clearly as I can the real-world performance testing and characteristics of the way I use those terms for various stages of practice, such as the perennially controversial term arhat. But this degree of specificity is not yet common, though I hope one day it will be. So if you encounter someone who's using a term about their practice that you are sure you know the correct and only possible definition of, try keeping an open mind and asking them exactly what they mean by that term. Language is a tool to communicate ideas, and in this case, ideas to try to promote good practice in those hearing them. Language does a lot better in this role than in the role of a battleground of territory to defend. Try to model this skillful metacognitive wisdom when discussing the language of the Dharma. And yes, so that's a little bit of a repeat there. I think I'm actually a little bit further along. Now he's talking about dependent origination revisited. And he goes through these links, 12 links of all of the birth, which depends on becoming, which depends on clinging, such and so forth. And then, for example, many beginning teachings start with topics such as ordinary suffering, loss, death, pain, conflict, and the like. Everyone can understand what is being talked about, as these are straightforward aspects of life. Birth is also straightforward. However, terms like becoming make a lot more sense if you have had experience of past lives in your practice. And talking about these to people who haven't had those experiences often ends in frustration. Clinging and craving seem obvious, but they have layers that are subtler than the first three terms. We can all relate to the concepts of clinging and craving on some level. Someone breaks our heart, but we still love them, so we suffer grief. This is a clear example that nearly everyone can relate to. However, there are many levels to be understood regarding clinging and craving, from the gross, such as that in that example, to the very subtle that get to the heart of the Dharma. Anyone who has gotten at least stream entry and that's one cycle of the stages of insight, and has had a clear suffering door fruition will have a more direct sense of what is really meant by clinging in the context of the Dharma, as that clinging will have been ripped from them. By the time we get to the higher end of the middle paths, it gets easier to see exactly what is meant by clinging and craving at a very fine level during our waking activities. If we manage to flash onto the experience of true centerlessness, luminosity, and agencylessness, even for a moment, we will have had a taste of a world free of the deeper dharmic meanings of clinging and craving. If we manage to stabilize this, we will truly know the depths of what those concepts are referring to and what it is like to have them vanish. Dependent origination gives a brief break in the subtlety with Vedana, sense contact, and the sixth sense doors, or so it seems, as these seem straightforward. However, really comprehending exactly how Vedana causes mental reactions takes a lot of clear perception of very fine phenomena. Really noticing the subtleties of the sixth sense doors and all the little phenomena that they show us takes a very well-trained and finely analytical mind made powerful by meditation. Those who get to the level of perceiving the microphenomenology detailed in the Abhidhamma have gotten to the level of deep Dharma comprehension of these aspects of dependent origination. Those without this level of personal vipassana practice will have a hard time understanding the profundity of a text like that. At one point, I had gotten way too far into complex models, more exotic practices, and intellectualization of the path. My first wife gave me a fantastic present, a very simple, small wooden box with one small piece of paper inside of it. On it were written the words, "The Sixth Sense Doors." That was all that was in the box. That was a truly great gift and a reminder to keep it simple. Speaking of simple yet subtle, by the time we get to name and form, we are deep into the subtle and profound end of the Dharma. Here, the six sense doors are integrating, and we come to core aspects of bare experience. By the time we get to consciousness and volitional formations, the sense doors have fully integrated, name and form have integrated, and we are at the level of understanding formations as formations. We will have to have at least gotten solidly into equanimity and appreciated what that mode of attention has to show us to get some real sense of what this level of dependent origination is talking about. However, that pales in comparison to the understanding of that those who have attained third path regarding this territory, by which point a skilled practitioner will be living a life that experiences a day-to-day level of deep insight into teachings such as there is only one integrated sense door, or the Dharma, like the great ocean, has one taste. Finally, while those of the lower levels of realization will get a sense of what is meant by ignorance, during moments of high equanimity, during conformity, and during subsequent manifestations of the three doors. To get this fully requires the degree of clarity of the Arhat. While intellectually we may understand, the whole field of experience is just directly knowing itself and happening perfectly, causally, as an integrated, immediate, transient whole. This bit of theory is nothing compared to the final direct knowledge of how this would preclude the sort of differentiation and complexities that the other links in the chain of dependent origination represent. Thus, if you have it in you to do so, try for the level that comprehends sensate reality so clearly that the illusion of ignorance falls away and these brilliant truths are directly revealed to you all the way to the base of the great chain. All right, that's the end of the chapter, and we are at chapter 72, called Conclusion and Best Wishes. I hope that we will not settle for becoming lost in the dogma of this work, of Buddhism, or of any contemplative traditions. I hope that we learn to do the practices that lead to freedom and to the deep integration of that freedom into our lives. I hope that we have faith that mastery can be attained. I hope that we will learn to ask good questions that will help us to accomplish this. I hope that the culture of Buddhism and the world in general will become less sectarian instead of more. I hope that all practitioners of meditation will use spiritual conceptual frameworks as tools and not worship them as sacred dogma. I hope that the huge amount of ignorant and fantastic thinking that accompanies spiritual traditions will immediately vanish from the planet forever, and that people doing the experiment with good intention and honesty while reporting their results honestly will prevail. I hope that all of us on the path will learn to speak kindly with one another in ways that are conducive to clear and ever-evolving practice. I hope that any controversial points made in this book will promote skillful debate and real inquiry, rather than contraction into fear, defensiveness, dismissiveness, and dogma. I hope that we will work towards actual mastery of the path. I hope that we will not spend our lives totally lost in content, but will delve deeply into the liberating truth of the three characteristics. I hope that the level of expectation about what is possible will be raised in a way that is helpful, and that any jealousy or frustration that results from this will be skillfully channeled into precise practice, and the joy that it can be done by each person. I hope that whatever faith you have in realized teachers and the Dharma, you will have as much or more faith in your own ability to reach your spiritual goals. May all of this be for the benefit of all beings. Should you realize that you wish to awaken, know that it is within your capabilities and do so. All right, that is the end of the book. There's a few quotes here at the end. The causal vehicle of the paramitas is to gradually attain the paths and bhumis. On the path of intuition, you should still regard the practice of unified emptiness and compassion as the basis of the path. The Light of Wisdom, root text by Padmasambhava, commentary by Jamgon Kongtrul the Great. I guess that's where that was from. So, and this is from Mahasi Sayadaw. It must always be remembered that the Buddha way can provide relief from suffering only for those who actually practice. And Jack Vance says, all is mutability, and thus your 300 terses has fluctuated to 3. I don't know. That's what it looks like. The word terses, Terces. All right. Well, I believe that is the end of the book. We're going right into the index, so yes. And so I guess that will probably do it for the day. Tomorrow, please come back. We're going to start a new reading, and we're going to get further into this reciprocal church resources for kind of a pragmatic syncretism, picking up the pieces of the collapsed religions and reconstituting them with some other pieces that will help for long-term survival. And we'll get into that more as we go on, but tune in tomorrow and we'll see what happens. All right, thanks. Have a great day.